Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me. Always get the a big rush of people joining literally dead on the dot of 10:30. Thank you very much for joining me today in this 30-minute money webinar. It's 30 minutes only, and it will go very, very quickly. Before we get into the main situation here, I just want to give you some housekeeping points first and foremost. If you want to ask a question, a money-related question, which I will try and deal with as many as I can after the first 20 minutes, please put those in the questions box and I will get to as many of those as I can. Any money-related question, ideally festive finance related, but if you've got other questions, put them in the box and I will try and answer as many of those as I can towards the end of the presentation. And remember, there are no silly questions. So look, thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jason Butler and I am the head of financial education at Salary Finance and Neighbour. And I always think I've got the very, very best job in the world because I get a chance to share ideas and thoughts and wisdom that I've learned over the years with good people like yourself. Okay, let's just move our slides on. Monday morning for us. So let's just explain that Salary Finance and the Neighbour family of businesses is a benefit made available to you by your employer. Now, depending on what your employer makes available to you, this can include access to financial education, of which this is an example, affordable loans, advances of earned wages, and access to savings accounts. And our mission is to help millions of employees get and stay financially healthy and happy. And that's what it's all about. But I should just make a very clear point here that this session is not personal financial advice. And if you're in any doubt about your own situation, either contact your local Citizens Advice Bureau or a regulated financial advisor. And in fact, the Money and Pensions Service, excuse me, if you do a web search for them, they've got access to lots of material and also web chat as well. Well, look, here's the thing. 2020 is kind of the year that we'd all wish we could forget. As we all know, 2020 has been a year that most people want to be over and forgotten. And whether or not you've been affected personally in some way by the pandemic, it's had a big impact on how we all live and how we think about the future. So in this short webinar, I want to give you some hints, tips and ideas for enjoying the approaching festivities, which are hopefully next week we're going to hear we are actually allowed to go back to some form of normality, and saying goodbye to 2020 and hello in the new year, but without leaving you with a financial hangover. So look, let's get you warmed up. Let's start with a quick poll. I want to know how confident you feel about your financial situation right now. Do you feel really worried and concerned, slightly worried and concerned, cautiously confident, or really confident? So let me just launch the poll. Select the poll here. I'm going to launch that. So vote away. How confident do you feel about your financial situation? Really worried and concerned, slightly worried and concerned, cautiously confident, or really confident? Right, I'm going to close that poll off in 3, 2, 1. Let's share that with you. Okay, so look, a minority of you are really confident or really worried, but the bulk of you are either slightly worried or concerned or cautiously confident. So that's nice. That's a nice mixture. But look, wherever you are, the most important thing to know is that you are not alone. Okay, so that's really the important point, is that whatever you feel, you aren't alone. So look, the festive period should be a time of relaxing, enjoying quality time with family and friends, and obviously scrobbling over board games and you know, trying to win. But also looking forward to the future, because we all need to have optimism about the future. Otherwise, it makes life very difficult, right? But there are traps for the unprepared that can wreak havoc on your personal finances. Now, look, the biggest problem is spending money you don't have, which then leads you to being more financially vulnerable in 2021. And look, let's be clear, no one knows what the future holds. And the future is always uncertain, because if it was certain, you know, there would be no fun in life, right? That's life. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you 3 key ideas to help you avoid that. So that basically being aware of the psychological tricks that companies play to get you to buy their products and services and spend more than you can or you want to afford. We're going to look at how you can lower the cost of gifts by just you know, doing some DIY gifts, but still putting a smile on the receiver's face and making you feel good, and the importance of having a spending plan. All right, so let's look at some of these psychological tricks used against you to get you to buy or spend more than you really want to or should. So here's this is the classic, oh, what's in a penny? Now, it doesn't matter whether it's £3, £30, £300 or £300 or £3,000. This is the oldest trick in the book of making it £2.99 or £29.99 or £299.99, because psychologically you register the first number to the left hand side. So be aware of that. That one is the oldest one in the book. Now this concept of a comma. If a number doesn't have the comma in it, and you see this quite a lot in restaurants, obviously they're closed at the moment, but whenever you go to restaurants, but not having a comma means that you think psychologically, even though you don't realize it, that the number is smaller, that you actually somehow it's not as big. I don't know why, but that's what the research tells us. Another thing that they do is, this is a classic one, is that they like to make things sound small. So rather than saying something's high quality or high demand, it's much better. You'll see messages around this is low fat, low calorie, low cost, low impact, ease of use, whatever it is. They want to make things small as opposed to big. Now, this is a really good one. This is called the price a day ruse. Now, with the price a day ruse, what they're doing is they're taking the price of something which might seem on its full price quite a lot of money, and they break it down to just £1 a day or £2.60 a day or whatever it is, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it easy for you to justify purchasing something, whether you can afford it or not, but whether you want to afford it. So £365 is £1 a day, or whatever the number works out to be a day. And you've probably seen this quite a lot in different formats. So they're trying to get you to tell yourself the story that it's okay to spend. So there we go. So that's the price a day ruse. Be really wary of that. Do not focus on the price a day. Let me just tell you, it's really interesting because I bought an extractor hood for my kitchen. I asked my wife what she wanted for her birthday, which is in beginning of December, and she said, I don't really want anything, Jason. She said, all I want is a new extractor hood, which I know doesn't sound very exciting. So I said, okay, it was £365, believe it or not. Now, I didn't think that was £1 a day. I thought that was £365, and I had to really think about that, and I felt the pain of that going out immediately. But she's happy. Just so you know, I am still going to buy her a very small gift to show that I care, and it's not all about domestic stuff. Now, this is the odd number ruse. Now, this works two ways. The odd number is where they avoid using 99 because that's kind of a bit obvious, and they use a number like 72, 87. And what that's doing is you psychologically think, oh, they must have really put some time into this. They've really put some time into thinking about the price. And so therefore, that must have more legitimacy. Now, this also works in reverse. So if you're selling something online, and if you've ever attended my webinars or live events, you'll know I'm real keen on selling off stuff you don't need or want anymore. If you put stuff online, always put an odd price. So when I over the years have charged for my services, I've always billed odd numbers because it just makes it psychologically easy for people to say yes. So if you're buying, be wary that is just trying to make it psychologically easy for you to say yes. If you're selling, use the odd number theory. So there we go. That's another little extra bonus there for you. Now, this is the one, my biggest bugbear is the pre-sale comparison. If anyone's been to a live event, they all know about my wife coming back from the sales and saying, look, I've saved £50 because this coat was up for £100 and it's now £50. And I've said, look, you haven't saved £50, Jane. You have spent £50. And that is what you have to focus on. Now, here's the thing. Although there are very strict rules about what can be called a sale, remember, the higher the price, the pre-sale price was merely designed to act as an anchor to make you feel good about paying the true price, which is, in this case, the £35. So whilst there may well have been this item for sale at £50 for a period of time somewhere in either a shopping chain or online, the reality, the real price is the £35 price. The pre-sale price should have no bearing whatsoever on whether you spend, because again, they use this because it works. All you've got to focus on is, do I want to buy, say, this bag for £35? Is that good value? Can I afford it? Does it make sense? Forget the pre-price comparison. It's complete and utter ruse designed to make you spend. Now, this false sense of urgency, this is another one of my bugbears. It's limited stocks, only 3 left. Offer won't be repeated. You see this all the time. And if you shop online quite a lot, then you will notice it will say 4 people looking at this item at the same time. You see this on holidays, you see this on goods, you see this on all sorts of stuff. This false sense of urgency is designed to not do what you should do, which is take a big deep breath, put it on your wish list or your shopping list, and just take a big deep breath, go away, and come back the next day or the day after that. So that's the point. There is no sense of urgency, and regardless of what this is, scarcity idea is all designed to get you to spend. So watch that one. Now, this is another one that really gets me. This is what we call the painless buying, removing friction to make it easy for you to spend, right? So you know it's easier to spend than it is to save and invest, right? And that's because people who sell you products and services want your money. They want you to feel it's painless. So that's why Amazon developed One Click, and they're not the only culprits. I mean, all of the online companies want to save your card. They want to offer you one click so you don't have to go to the checkout. They don't want to lose you. How many times have you been chased for something you've left in your shopping cart and you haven't checked out, you haven't bought it, and they come back to you with an email, or when you next go to the site, something pops up? Uber's the same one. Uber, how many times, if you actually had to find money when you used to be able to get cabs and pay cash for it, you actually have to think, do I want to spend £20 on a cab? Whereas Uber makes it easy because, you know, you're just in the car and it comes off your card. Klarna, another one, whether it's online or in a shop, their job is to say, well, look, you can pay for this in 3 installments starting in a month's time, no interest, right? It all sounds great. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to reduce the friction and the pain of spending. Here's a little tip. I want spending to be really painful. When I buy stuff, I pay for it on my debit card. It goes out my account that day. I feel the pain immediately. So I only spend what I have or what I want to spend. So really be wary of anything in your what we call your money architecture, your money environment, which is keeping you, making it easy for you to spend and harder to save and invest. Another one here is about what we call bigging up the discount. 20% of £50 seems more appealing than having £10 off, even though it's the same amount. So be wary of that. They use percentages all the time. Now, this is specific for the guys out there, okay? The research shows that it doesn't seem to affect women, or certainly not as much. But when guys see red numbers, they tend to equate that with a good deal or with discounts or with reductions. And we don't know, it might be something to do with our primeval brain of, danger or something. I don't know. But the point is that is what retailers use, particularly for guy-orientated purchases. And then this is another favorite of mine. This is called the price decoy. Now, it's used a lot in lots of products, but it's used specifically with wine. And remember this, the lower priced item and the higher priced item, their sole job is to get you to buy the middle priced item. That is its sole job. They might sell some high-end ones, they might sell some of the cheap ones, but they make their most money on the middle one. That's the one they want you to buy. So just be aware of it. They want you to buy that middle one. And quite often, as you probably see, which has come out with a taste test of all the champagnes, and most of the major supermarkets have got perfectly good champagne and sparkling wine compared to all the well-known makes, the makes that spend millions and millions saying that they're brilliant. And there's always a tendency in Christmas to have a bit of a blowout, isn't it? And then the other one they do is appeal to emotions. So the classic one here is, oh, you'll love this. And then what they want to do is they want to make you feel emotionally good. They want you to feel good about yourself. Remember L'Oreal? Because you're worth it. This will make you feel good. And it's all about appealing to emotions. So just remember that one. So look, they're just some of the psychological tricks that companies use against you. Now look, the more aware you are, then the more chance you've got to resist of being duped. But it isn't easy. And remember, the companies that are selling you products and services do not give a flying monkeys about your financial well-being. No one will care more about your financial well-being than you will. So let's do another quick poll then. I want to see if you're all awake. I want to see if you've actually experienced any of those previous psychological tricks that companies use. So I've launched the poll. Do you recognize any of those tricks being used against you in the past? Yes, lots of them. Yes, several of them. Yes, a few. Or no, none of them. Jason, what are you talking about? So I'm going to close that poll off in 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to share that with you. Here we go. 60. Look, over 2/3 of people seen loads of them. 20% yes. There's a very small number who've never seen them, so I'm not sure where you are. Perhaps you're living a sheltered life, but nevertheless, the bulk of us have seen them. So look, my job is done with that one. Thank you for that. That's good. So we're not alone. We know this stuff goes on. It's just being aware of it. So now let's be clear. Your kids, your relatives, and your friends don't really care how much you spend on them. They don't really. They don't at all. All they care is that you put a little bit of thought into any gift that you do give them. So this year, more than any, people will realize if things are a bit tough financially, right? So please don't just throw caution to the wind and say, well, we've had a terrible year, let's just do it and worry about the consequences later. I want you, through your actions over the next 5-6 weeks, I want you to be setting yourself up to have a great financial year next year, no matter what the world throws at us. So what we've done is we put together a list of low-cost DIY gifts that will allow you to show you that you care without busting the bank. And you can see on the right-hand side under handouts, you can download the full list. I'm just going to touch on a couple here, just to give you an idea that you can actually put together some interesting stuff, and also you can have fun doing it, right? Bath bombs. Who doesn't want something smelly to put in the bath that's nice and relaxing at the end of the day? And it's a really simple, low-cost way of creating these and packaging them, making them look nice, and have fun doing it. Personalized t-shirts. Now, we've got some personalized t-shirts for our family here with our little logo, and stuff. My daughter got them for us during the year, but you could do that for people for their present, and you can put something on there about them, like the perfect, I don't know, whatever you want to put that's endearing to them, or a logo, or something you think that they would put a smile on their face. And everyone needs a t-shirt, don't they? And you can get these online. All the details are on the list. What about making a photo collage? Now, the thing about what we find now is that because all photos are digital, we very rarely print them off. But if you do go, whether it's a friend, a relative, your family, whatever it is, actually printing off really relevant pictures, how lovely it is to put them together. My oldest daughter made me one of these some years ago, and it was a wonderful thing, and pictures I'd forgotten about, but I was looking back to the events and remembering things about those events that then gave me a really great emotional feeling. So photo collages are really great things to do. They take a bit of time, but they're great fun, aren't they? So look through your digital archive, look through your physical one if you've got really old photos, and make something up that's unique, amazing thing. Particularly older people love that, really love to look back at their family situation. Fleece blankets. Now, tied fleece blankets, you can make these up at very low cost. Again, it's in the list. A nice thing to do there, and if you want to, you can even sort of sew someone's name in or whatever. Really nice thing to do. So there's just a few of the gifts. I'm not going to go through all of them. All the details are in the handout, which you can download from the handout slide there on the right hand side. Just some ideas to help you fill people's sort of do the gifts that you want to give without you spending loads of money. And the final thing I want to just touch on here is this idea of a plan. See, look, I don't do budgets. I really don't do budgets. I do smart spending. If you've ever attended any of my webinars before or seen me speak at a live event when I used to be able to do those, you'll know that I teach my smart spending system. And you can download both this graphic, the smart spending system on the right-hand side, and also the my smart spending summary, which goes with it, which helps you work out your regular, your one-off, your ongoing costs. The reason I put this down is that if you have a plan about what you're going to spend for Christmas, don't just do it for Christmas. A bit like a dog is not for Christmas, it's for life. Your spending plan is something which will always be with you, okay? So think about this now, don't just for Christmas, thinking about how you're going to go into 2021, not repeating past mistakes, that you're going to improve. You're not going to be perfect, but you're going to improve. So check out those two things. Start with Christmas, being intentional about what you're going to spend, and then think about how now you're going to be in 2021, and you're not going to make the same mistakes that you made before. So look, when it comes to Christmas spending, if you decide in advance exactly how much you can and you want to afford to spend on food, drink, gifts, travel and entertainment, you're going to be a lot better placed to avoid getting into debt or using up precious savings. Let me say that again. If you think in advance and make a plan, it frees you and you are much better placed to avoid getting into debt or using up precious savings. I'll say that word again, precious savings. As we've all seen, that's key. The key is to spend only what you have, not what you think you should have or what you deserve. And that way you'll be able to enjoy the holiday period without feeling guilty and not storing up financial mess for the new year. So look, let's just summarize that. Be aware of the psychological tricks that companies play to get you to spend your money. They are pulling on your emotional and psychological heartstrings. Look at our DIY gift list to get an idea to just reduce the amount you might spend on presents, but improve the thought behind your giving. And there's a lot more than the ones that I mentioned. And create a sensible and affording spending plan, not a budget, a spending plan to help you avoid spending more than you can afford. Okay, right now, that's the main content. I've got some time for questions, so let's just have a look here what we've got here on the question side of things. Okay, right, so let's just got a couple that I had brought in earlier, which is quite interesting. This was one I had last week actually, which I think I'll share with you because it's so relevant. And it was a parent that said, how, even though times are tough, how can you deny your children nice toys and the things that they've heard about at school or that they've seen on the telly or online? And here's my answer. Children really, as I said before, they might think they want these things to make them happy, but we all know in our heart of hearts that the toys get discarded, they grow out of them very quickly, they're onto something else. I think it's not easy, and I'm not pretending it is, but isn't it better to have a conversation with your children and involve them in what's going on financially, because you'll help them become much more mindful spenders. And what I mean by that is say, look, things are a bit tough this year. You know about the coronavirus. Perhaps it's been a bit difficult. We don't have lots and lots of money, but the money we've got, we're going to, if you can get your children to really focus on what they really want, a small number of things that they want, as opposed to, unlimited amounts of stuff that they think they need, I think you're actually going to be teaching them something which very few people get really around to teaching their children. I think you're going to make them aware that money is to be respected. And I think what you do is you show your children that you are trusting them. Now, obviously, it's difficult if they're very, very young. But again, if they're very young, you can probably get them to help you make presents. You can get them involved. There's lots of different ways you can get them to think. Christmas is not about, it might be for the companies who are selling products and services, an opportunity to part you with your money. But Christmas should really be about whether you're religious or you're atheist. It should be about reflecting and thinking about other people. And what is it you can do? And one of the things you can do with your children, again, as I used to do with my kids when they were young, is get them to think about people less fortunate than you. Get them to do something which is beyond their needs. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's about being honest with your children. Okay, let's have a look at this question. Why do you use your debit card, not your credit card? I understand seeing it going through straight away, but the safety of a credit card online is worth it, isn't it? Especially if it's paid off in full each month. Right. Well, the answer to that is there is nothing wrong with using a credit card where you are spending money that you already have the money for over here. But my view is this. I don't want credit cards in my life. I'm not saying they don't have a part to play in some people's lives. I personally don't want them. I want the pain of money going out. And here's the thing. Chargeback gives you quite a lot of protection. Your bank, it's not the same as credit card protection, but it does give you some protection. And as far as I'm concerned, same things like holidays, and if you go with main retailers or you buy through Amazon, any of these major platforms, you have got protection. It's a misnomer that you haven't. So, for instance, if you buy through the Amazon platform, you're protected by Amazon. If you're buying an ABTA-related holiday, you're protected by ABTA. Most of the banks, it's a voluntary situation, chargeback, but most of them are behind that. So all I'm saying is I think that credit cards take far more, they are far more dangerous than these illusory benefits that we're told we've got with them. But by all means, if you are totally disciplined and you only spending on the credit card the money that you physically have, and you are totally disciplined, you pay it off every month, I'm not going to have a row with you about it. I'm just saying, for me, they are more dangerous than the benefits. That's just my view. So there we go. Okay, I've got one more question that I was asked the other day, and it was all about the stress, the pressure to feel that you are, obviously we don't know if we're going to be able to have families together, but this pressure of feeling like you've got to do something special because you've had a terrible year, or you feel like you should, or you just want to put the year behind you. And I do have some sympathy for that. But here's the point you've got to remember is that the money that you spend is gone forever. And you have got the memories, of course, but it isn't going to be your relatives and your friends who've got to pay the bills afterwards. They're not the ones who've got to cope with curveballs that come at you next year. I would say to you this is a good excuse this year to have a frugal year. to have a year where you get back to basics, where a year where you really focus on what really matters and not what you think everyone else thinks it matters or what marketing is telling you. Because at the end of the day, if you've got your health, you've got everything. So my view would be use this as an excuse to be frugal. We don't know what the future holds. Assume that we're going to be in tough times and hope that we won't. So there we go. That's that. Now, okay, I've got a final poll for you, which I want to put to you just before you go. Do you feel a little bit more confident that you'll be better able to control your Christmas spending now? Is it yes, a lot more, yes, a fair bit, yes, a little bit, or not really? So I'm going to share that with you just to see if we've had any. Oops, let's get that going. Launch that poll. So vote away. Do you feel a little bit more confident that you'll be able to control your spending now? Yes, a lot more, yes, a fair bit, yes, a little bit, or for not really? Okay, I'm going to close that off in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to share that with you. Good. Look, here's the thing. 93% of you are feeling a little bit more confident or a fair bit or a lot more. So look, that's good. And here's the thing. Confidence in your ability to do the right thing, I think, is absolutely key. So look, well done. Thank you for sharing that. Let's just hide that slide. So there we go. Look, I hope you have a really enjoyable end to the year. And I wish you all the best for a great 2021. Look, at Salary Finance and Neighbour, we're here with you. We want you to do well. We've got your back. And I hope to see you at another event at some stage in the new year. And if you've liked this or any previous events, please tell your colleagues. And I hope to see you next year at some time in a future event. Thanks for coming.